The ASI Alliance is working on decentralized AI systems and a possible future AGI that is in the hands of the people and beneficial for all of humanity. They stand in contrast to big tech companies that develop AI systems that are controlled by a few people who possibly pursue their own narrow and pernicious goals. In a recent paper, Dr. Ben Goertzel, the CEO of the ASI Alliance, wrote, "Well before blockchain became a thing, I and others were thinking about the need for decentralized control of the distributed AI processes comprising a large-scale AGI, and the importance of this for keeping early-stage AGIs out of the hands of centralized entities with narrow goals." If you are watching this video, I am sure you are aware of the possible issues that centralized AI development brings with it. Stifled innovation, the possibility for it to turn into the biggest propaganda machine that the world has ever seen, and a continuously growing power imbalance that gives only a few people more and even more control are only a few of the issues that this brings with it. But how does the ASI Alliance work? Well, there's quite a lot to it, so let's get into it and start with Fetch AI, SingularityNet and Ocean Protocol. These three companies merged their tokens together in a collaborative effort to take on big tech. But more about that later. First, let's look at this. So if you look at these three companies, you could basically say that Ocean Protocol is at the bottom. Here we have Ocean, and provides the data layer of the AI and possibly future AGI systems. Then on top of that, in the middle, so to speak, we have SingularityNet. So this is SingularityNet, and SingularityNet provides their AGI research and their AGI development. And then on top of that, we have Fetch. And Fetch basically provides their great customer interface and their different AI agents. This is basically the foundation of the ASI Alliance. But let's dive a little bit deeper into how it works behind the scenes, and let's take a look at NuNet and Hypercycle. Hypercycle will basically be the super fast communication layer of the AI systems. Yes, they also run on Cardano, Ethereum and multiple blockchains, but Hypercycle enables for super cheap, super fast transactions that are not really possible on any other blockchain. Now let's have a look at NuNet, another important foundation of the AGI Alliance. It basically enables decentralized compute and data. So let's say you are here, I am here, here's someone else, and here's someone else, and here, and we are all across the entire world, and we have our smartphones, or maybe our laptops, or maybe our stationary computers, whatever it is. And NuNet now enables us to all share our compute that we don't use, and it will be used by NuNet in the AI systems for different services, for different processes that they need to run, and for that you get rewarded with tokens. Another great aspect is that while Fetch AI, SingularityNet and Ocean Protocol are interconnected and closely work together with one another, they are still their own companies and work on their own projects. This ensures great innovation potential, something that is very stifled when it comes to big tech. Aside from NuNet and Hypercycle, there's an even broader and bigger ecosystem when it comes to the different AI services and AGI development. Here you have a brief overview over the SingularityNet ecosystem. And what I really want to point out here are the Rejuve project and Sophiaverse. The Rejuve project is focused on human health and longevity research. Dr. Ben Goertzel and many others believe that if you want to develop an AGI that is aligned with human goals, values and ethics and behaves in a good way, you need to have it do good things, positive and beneficial things right from the start, instead of using it for anything malicious. This is why the Rejuve project plays such an important role, because the Rejuve project will likely be one of the first use cases of OpenCog Hyperon, and like this, immediately link it to something very positive and beneficial for humanity. Sophiaverse is another interesting aspect. It's a game that the player plays together with Sophia the robot, and Sophia is basically powered by OpenCog Hyperon. The goal of the game is basically that OpenCog Hyperon develops an internal world model and learns how to interact with it, and also that an AI human hive mind is created. Now, let's take a brief look at the tokenomics and the token merger. In March of 2024, the three companies decided to merge FET, AGIX and Ocean into the ASI token. The ASI token has a fixed exchange rate from FET to ASI from 1 to 1 and from Ocean and AGIX to ASI from 0.433 to 1. This ensures that the relative value of the tokens roughly stays the same during the merger. By now, the merger has basically happened, and currently the Artificial Superintelligence Alliance token, ASI, will still keep the ticker FET for a while, because changing the ticker apparently runs into a lot of issues with contracts, with exchanges and stuff, but it's not that important. Important for you is to know that if you have the FET token, you basically have the ASI token. Just the ticker change will take a little bit longer. At the moment, you can swap your AGIX and Ocean token into the FET token at any time at the SingularityDAO dApp. I'll leave a link to it down in the description, but still, make sure to always double and triple check. If we look at CoinGecko, the current ASI token has a total market cap of about 3.3 billion, give or take. Let's just roughly estimate here. This means if you want to double in value, so from currently right around 130 to 260, the market cap would need to double to 6.6 billion. You can estimate for yourself how high the market cap can theoretically go by looking at the current top projects and how high the top projects' market caps have been during the last bull run. So for that, let's just head over to the CoinMarketCap snapshots real quick. Let's click in here, and yeah, there you can see how high the market caps have been at the top of the bull run. You can take this to generally estimate how high the FET token can potentially maybe go. But of course not financial advice, and I leave that calculation up to you. One thing I will say is that there are still a lot of hype around AI and AI projects. And in crypto, basically everything is about hype. So in the words of Ben Goertzel, if LLMs are the path towards AGI, we are pretty much done. Big tech will do it. But if not, the ASI Alliance has a pretty good shot at reaching AGI first.
Big tech companies, they're all chasing, training the biggest LLMs. And so if training bigger and bigger LLMs is the path to a human level AGI, then we're pretty much fucked, because these big companies are they're going to do it. They're putting trillions of dollars into it. On the other hand, if some different approach can get faster to AGI, then there's a very strong opportunity, because these big tech companies are all sort of chasing down the same things.
Society is becoming increasingly reliant on data, especially with the advent of AI. However, a handful of organizations with both massive data assets and AI capabilities attain varying levels of control, which is a danger to a free and open society. Ocean Protocol aims to put the ownership of your data in your hands and enables you to monetize it if you choose to do so. This data then can be used for the training of AI models, but also for research purposes, product development, and many more things. Most important thing is you, as a data owner, remain in full control the whole time and decide what is allowed to do with it. And this stays in stark contrast to big tech companies. Especially for large language models, they don't seem to give a damn at all and just take data from wherever to train their models. That, and also the fact that they can buy any available data assets they want, makes AI development more and more exclusive for people and companies who have a large amount of money. And seriously, no one can really want the absolute centralization of AI development, potentially the most powerful tool humanity has ever seen, in the hands of a few greedy corporate people. Ocean Protocol aims to level the playing field and make data assets available for every single AI startup, while at the same time allowing everyone to upload their own data and get paid for it. But let's have a deeper look at how that works. First, you obviously need a data set. When you now publish your data, two things are created. First, a data NFT that represents ownership over your data. Now, very important here, it does not represent ownership in a legal sense, but just in the Ocean Protocol ecosystem. So if you ever should sell it, you of course still legally own your data. It is still stored in your cloud or wherever you store it anyway. But the buyer can now manage your data, set prices and so forth. This usually goes hand in hand with a further agreement that the buyer can access your data. The next things that are created are data tokens, and they allow access to your data. So if anyone wants to use your data for AI development, research purposes, product development or whatever, they need to purchase data tokens. This happens primarily on the Ocean marketplace and you always have full control. This means you set the price of the token and you decide what your data can then be used for when a token has been purchased. For example, the buyer may be able to download it and use it completely. Or you may decide that you only give compute to data access. This means that your data remains encrypted and only gets read and statistically analyzed by algorithms without anyone being able to see your raw data. The computational results can then potentially be used for AI model training or, for example, for healthcare analysis. Another important thing to mention is that the data is stored by you and not on the blockchain. The blockchain only stores access to your data, but again, you remain in full control the whole time. And of course, for any purchase of your data, you earn Ocean tokens. Alright, that's how the Ocean data marketplace works. Now, the most well-known project from Ocean Protocol is probably Predictor. So let's break it down further. Ocean Predictor is a prediction market platform, currently predicting the future price of crypto tokens. Or better said, predicting whether the price goes up or down. These predictions are made by AI agents who predict the price for the next 5 or 60 minutes. And to incentivize good prediction behavior, everyone who submits a prediction agent has to stake a certain amount of Ocean tokens per prediction. If the prediction is right, you get rewarded with more Ocean tokens. If it is wrong, your staked Ocean gets slashed. This has led to a general accuracy of over 50%, which in theory is all you need in order to be profitable. And you can see in the numbers that Ocean Predictor is pretty popular, with a volume of about 900 million US dollars per month. Now, as a user, you can buy a prediction and either long or short the token. These are just the beginning stages of Predictor. The long-term vision is to have a prediction feed of all kinds of diverse and different predictions. The website states, "We dream of a world of 10,000 truly accurate prediction feeds for everything, from rain forecast to sea level rise or traffic congestions to ETH price." And with its decentralized data market and its predictor model, Ocean is a perfect puzzle piece for the ASI Alliance. Consisting out of Fetch AI, SingularityNet and Ocean Protocol, the ASI Alliance has the ambitious goal to take on big tech in the race to advanced AI systems, and at one point even AGI or ASI. And one of the most important things for any AI system to work well are good and high quality data sets. And ideally a lot of them, which is exactly what Ocean Protocol brings to the table for any developing AI or even AGI. Additionally, making future predictions, even if it's just for crypto tokens for now, is a very valuable skill that every AI system can learn and grow from. And as the ASI Alliance is stating on the X account, Ocean is going to grow this to 20,000 DeFi feeds, add some weather feeds, precipitation, temperature, pressure, then grow to millions of weather feeds. Ocean will layer in ancillary feeds too, such as energy and logistics. This will take us to world models. As the weather feeds relate to each other in spatial dimensions, there will be gains in accuracy and cost to train a single model across feeds. This model will continually ingest the physics of the world to predict its next state. It will be a world model on ground truth physics. Ocean will give it all the training data that current LLMs take. The next result will be a model with vastly more data than current LLMs and ground truth physics in all that additional data. Prediction is intelligence. This is Predictor's endgame. Fittingly, it is one of the Build ASI streams. Okay, I'm ready for holidays. Last time I used Google Bard to help me book a trip. This time I think I will use Fetch AI. Fetch AI is basically a network of autonomous agents on a decentralized blockchain. Within Fetch AI, you will connect to the marketplace and tell it what you want to do, where you want to go, or give it any other instruction. As you can see, it's not fully launched yet, but early access is available. Okay, find me a cheap hotel from the... Fetch AI will create an autonomous agent for you that will execute your task of finding the best match for your travel preferences. For that, it connects to all the other relevant AI agents on the network, negotiates on your behalf, and can also make transactions if you allow it. Let me show you. Alright, first we have your agent. Then let's say we have different hotel agents and different flight agents. Why not? Alright, what happens now is that you tell your agent, hey, I want to book a holiday for this and this date, there and there. And then your agent goes to all the flight agents here and asks, hey, what flights are available? Is this one cheap? Is this one cheap? Does this one fit in your budget? Does this one fit in your budget? And it chooses the best one for you. But it also goes to all the hotel agents and asks, hey, what hotel is available? Is this one cheap? Does this one fit in your budget? Is this one open when you want to go? And of course, most importantly, do they match with the flights? And your agent figures all of that out for you and then asks you, hey, should I go ahead and book that, or do you want anything else? What also maybe happens is that this hotel agent maybe says, sorry, but I am $100 over the budget that you say, and then your agent says, okay, well, do we get maybe extra breakfast? Or can we have other things that make the trip better for us? So it quote unquote negotiates on your behalf, and then it presents you back with all the options. Does the hotel have a pool? I want a pool. Once satisfied, the agent can make the bookings for you and handle the payments. Yes, go ahead. This works a bit similar to Google Bard, where you can ask Bard to find options for you and then Bard searches flights, hotels and so forth. But Fetch AI is decentralized and works on a blockchain, unlike Bard. This means that it connects to Mary? That it connects to Mary. But Fetch AI is decentralized and works on a blockchain. That means, unlike Bard, it connects to many independent different agents. Also, your personal data is not controlled by any single entity, but is on the blockchain, which makes it infinitely harder to hack. Next to enhanced privacy, other advantages are greater security, greater control, and also greater censorship resistance. Okay, let's go. Damn, public transport is on a strike? What now? No worries, the agents on Fetch AI can also make real-time adjustments when things change. It will connect to all the other agents and adjust your plans according to your situation. If you offer a service like a hotel booking site, it's also super easy to connect it to the network. At least according to them, not that I offer a hotel booking site and have tested that. You can use Agentverse to launch your agent with the click of a button. No coding skills needed, as Fetch AI states on their website. And there you have your buttons to click, continue with Agentverse or get started. Some of the integrations Fetch AI currently has are Skyscanner, OpenAI, Discord, Yahoo Finance, Google Calendar and more. Of course, travel planning is just one example. You can ask Fetch AI to make many things for you. like for example booking an appointment, helping you with your financial planning, hiring a car, or many other things. Agents from multiple different fields have the potential to turn Fetch AI into a powerful assistant that executes tasks on your behalf, if everything works out the way they say that it will work out. For another example, let's also have a quick look at the example video from their website. Alright, let's have a quick look. I will show you the whole video, and I will show it without sound because I don't know with copyright senses. But one thing that I want to mention before is I don't have a speaker on this video, so no one talks. It's just a little bit of background music, and I think they could really benefit from this because it feels kind of boring when you watch it without someone talking. But let's have a quick look. So here basically Fetch AI tells you, hey, let's get planning what you want to do, and then you get Google Calendar and can select a date for the activity that you want. And then when we move on, what do you want? And he basically says, I want my carpets cleaned, and what he wants to spend for that, as you can see. So Fetch AI searches for availability, basically talks with kind of different agents as I showed you on the whiteboard. And when Fetch AI has something, it comes back with different options A, B, and C. Then you choose the option, then Fetch AI contacts to make a booking or asks if a booking slot is open, and then you can type book to book that. This is basically how it's going to work. Now here for getting your carpets cleaned, also for traveling, and Fetch AI directly schedules it into your calendar and handles the payments for you. Another thing that was recently announced, in a few months ago I believe, is a partnership between Fetch AI and SingularityNet. These two companies aim to eliminate hallucination problems and multi-step reasoning issues in large language models. Yeah, that's great, but it's time to finally get into holidays now. In the meantime, you probably want to check out my breakdown of SingularityNet right over there. In 2022, ChatGPT started to take the world by storm. The AI chatbot was adopted by 100 million users in its first 2 months, having one of the fastest growing user bases that ever existed. And it's only getting crazier. But with the rise of ChatGPT, concerned and critical voices became louder. The real danger is coming from humans abusing AGI technology for their own benefit. Centralized entities with narrow goals could easily widen the gap between the rich and the poor. Single humans who abuse AGI could be a real danger to humanity, and in the worst case, bring catastrophe. If only there was a way to put this powerful technology in the hands of the people, to use it for the benefit of humanity, to use it for the benefit of us all. If only there was a way. Oh damn, there is. And it's called blockchain. Blockchain is a technology that has the power to decentralize AGI, so that not one single person or group of people can have control over it and abuse it. And SingularityNet is a company that has a declared goal of developing a decentralized AGI on a blockchain to benefit all of humanity, as stated on their website. For that, they use Ethereum as their layer 1 platform and are also currently in the process of migrating to Cardano. But let's have a deeper look at SingularityNet. The first cool thing to note is the SingularityNet marketplace, where AI developers can offer their own developed AI applications for use and for sale. You can just go in here and demo most of the applications for free, like for example the neural image generator. So after we've clicked on demo, we just decide which model we want to use. Let's use the I can't believe it's not photography model, and then let's say cute woman with green hair. And then you can change some things down here. We don't need that at the moment. The more steps you make, the better it gets, but we'll keep it at 50. And then we run that. And while it's running, I'll show you some of the pictures I created with this. And yes, I like to create girls with colored hair, as you maybe can see here. And here are pictures one didn't really create. That happens sometimes. I mean, we also got green eyes, but I must say it looks really good, man. I think that pretty much looks like a human face to me. Let's look at the other one. Also pretty good. Actually, I really like the green eyes. Alright, going back here, and when you reset that, you see down here I have 11 more users, 10 more users. It's 15 in total. And if you want to run it, you have a fixed price of 0.08 AGIX tokens. That's basically nothing. Now it runs on a blockchain, so you will need a wallet, probably MetaMask, to connect if you want to use it further. Going back to the marketplace, of course, there are many other applications, as you can see, but I will not go through all of them. You can have a quick look or just click the link in the description, and there you can see the rest. While I absolutely love the idea, it feels like the marketplace is missing a little bit traction and innovative ideas. On top of that, it feels a little bit clunky. For example, you cannot even sort by best rated up here. But if you're a developer, it still might be interesting for you, even if it's just to support the vision of SingularityNet or get a head start in the ecosystem. Next, let's look at True AGI, and this is a company that is building Hyperon, or what will be the decentralized AGI heart of SingularityNet. Hyperon will be able to communicate with all, or at least many, of the different applications built on SingularityNet, combining them into one powerful tool. One powerful decentralized AGI. I love the idea and the project, but at the moment it's definitely lagging behind in the AI development. Obviously, since it hasn't launched yet. But I'm very excited for what is coming next. But as Ben Goertzel said in this video that I'll also link in the description.
Pretty much, we have to launch something that's way smarter than ChatGPT and launch that on a decentralized infrastructure, right? And if you do that, everyone will use it because it's smarter. And lo and behold, it also happens to run on this decentralized infrastructure.
I think it not only needs to be smarter, but also extremely easy and simple to use. And this might be an issue when it comes to blockchain. The user interface is probably one of the best things about ChatGPT and what helped it to go mainstream so fast. But if they can pull off what they say, I'm very optimistic that the future of AGI can be positive for all of us. If you want to learn more about Hyperon, what it is and how it works, be sure to watch a video right over here. According to Ben Goertzel, Hyperon could be a decentralized open AGI in 3 to 10 years. And large language models, such as ChatGPT, could be a small part of it. But what is Hyperon and how does it work? To understand that, I read through 100-page paper, so you don't have to. Let's jump right into it. What the paper describes is OpenCog Hyperon, a cognitive architecture and AI system design that we believe possesses the breadth and complexity to achieve AGI at the human level and beyond via a combination of autonomous learning and human education and supervision. But what does intelligence mean in the context of AGI and this paper? There have been a variety of different attempts to define intelligence in the past years and decades, but still we cannot clearly pinpoint it. But we need a shared understanding so we know what we are talking about here. The paper puts it like this. In the context of Weaver's concept of open-ended intelligence, achieving a goal is not the crux of intelligence, rather the focus is on self-organizing aspects. Hyperon is intended as a system that can achieve complex goals in complex environments, including goals that it represents explicitly as well as goals that arise implicitly, due to its self-organizing dynamics. It is also intended as an open-ended intelligence that, as it pursues its self-organization and its agency, ongoingly pursues both individuation and self-transcendence. So I don't know about you, but that sounds like a definition of an intelligent system that I can get on board with. Especially the pursuit of its own intrinsic goals sounds like something that any intelligent being definitely should be able to do. Now, when it comes to building this intelligence, scale might be an important factor, especially when we consider the human brain's sheer size with hundreds of billions of neurons. So OpenCog intends to use the potential of the internet, which is great for scaling. For example, AGI systems living on decentralized compute networks could serve as a cognitive hub of a centralized global brain. Now here's a paper talking about a centralized brain, but it moves on to one of my favorite aspects about Hyperon, which is decentralization. And according to the paper, Ben Goertzel has been thinking for a long time about the need for decentralized control of the distributed AI processes, comprising a large-scale AGI, and the importance of this for keeping early-stage AGIs out of the hands of centralized entities with narrow goals. And in my opinion, this is absolutely key. Or does anyone here really want to have a centralized entity, such as Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, the American government, or whoever it is in full control of the emerging AGI, basically being able to outsmart and control everything? Oh, this isn't going to end well. But for now, the paper goes on and talks about cognitive synergy, which stems from an understanding of how different types of memory and learning mechanisms in the human brain interact. Cognitive synergy highlighted how the brain translates a problem from one kind of memory to another kind when it gets stuck, essentially employing different kinds of learning mechanisms. And as for my understanding, the concept of cognitive synergy leads to the core foundation of which Hyperon is built on, which the paper gets into now. But first, I have to admit that it's definitely a little bit too technical for me at some places. And I really took a while to understand this with the help of Claude 2 and reading through it multiple times. So I will explain everything to the best of my understanding and give you hopefully simple analogies and concepts for what the paper is talking about. But I cannot promise that I understood everything 100% right. If you want to read the paper yourself, it's down in the description. But going on, the paper states, the core construct of Hyperon is the atom space, a metagraph comprised of nodes and links with complex interlinkage structures. This metagraph is highly versatile and allows for labeling nodes and links with various kinds of data, including subgraphs. This labeling mechanism can also facilitate the embedding of complex type systems in the metagraph. Alright, if you don't have any coding, AI or whatever background, just like me, you probably right now ask yourself, what the hell is the paper talking about here? Well, that's definitely what I asked myself. So let's explain that as simple as possible. The core foundation of Hyperon is the atom space or metagraph. You can basically think about that as the brain of Hyperon at this point. And now it's basically just described how data is connected. So let's say we have the node apple and the node fruit, and they would be connected via a link. The amazing thing about the metagraph is that you can link multiple different nodes together, make links to different links, and attach new data. So let's say we have our apple here, which is linked to fruit. And then we also have a node for color here, and this color node has the data red, which is not linked yet. But then Hyperon learns more about apples and attaches the node color with the data red to apples. And when Hyperon learns even more about apples, that apples can also be green, it attaches more data to the color node for apples. Alright, now that's at least how I understood it. Another very important piece that makes Hyperon qualitatively different from anything in earlier OpenCog versions is a programming language called Meta. Meta programs are sub-metagraphs in atom space and are interpretable as procedures for rewriting portions of atom space into modified or additional portions of atom space. By its basic nature, the meta interpreter enables atom space to undergo a metamorphosis and initiate self-rewriting. Okay, let me explain meta the way I understand it in consultation with Claude 2. As human beings, everything we do continuously over a longer period of time becomes habitualized as a simple way to conserve energy. That can be very simple things like brushing your teeth. It's very habitual. You probably have a huge need to brush your teeth in the evening and in the morning if you have done it for a long period of time, because it's a habit now. That also goes for things like negative self-talk. That also becomes habitualized if you do it for a long period of time. But we don't want to get there now. For now, it's just important to understand that everything we do as human beings over a long period of time becomes habitualized as a way to conserve energy. Meta now, as per my understanding, helps Hyperon to habitualize certain processes. For example, labeling fruits with a color. Instead of being a one-time process that Hyperon does, thanks to Meta, this process becomes automized and thus way more efficient. On top of that, Meta can rewrite certain habits if they are inefficient or more efficient ways to do things have been found. The paper goes very in depth to explain Meta more, as it states here on page 18. Meta is a novel language, and getting used to it requires letting go of some traditional ways of thinking about programming and acquisition of some new habits. For readers who have sufficient technical background, it seems a brief summary of highlights and different aspects may still be of some value. And I am definitely not a person with a sufficient technical background. If you are, the paper is down in the description, but I'll move on and leave it at that. The paper now goes on to talk about LLMs, such as ChatGPT, and their limitations when it comes to AGI, and compares them with Hyperon's approach. As the paper states, there are some quite serious limitations to LLMs. For instance, systematic multi-step reasoning as required in scientific research or producing groundbreaking mathematical theorems is challenging for these systems. This is partially because they predominantly recycle existing knowledge rather than extending far beyond it. Additionally, LLMs struggle with creativity, often producing work that is derivative rather than is aesthetically rich or moving, let alone artistically groundbreaking. Ben Goertzel talked about these limitations in another paper that I've dissected in a video right over here. Or maybe over here. Researchers and scientists are split when it comes to AGI, and the paper states that Gary Marcus and Jan LeCun, for instance, view LLMs as a diversion from the path to AGI, while others think of them as significant progress, believing that scaling up and augmenting current LLMs or combining LLMs with other technologies could be a viable path to human-level AGI. Ben Goertzel and his colleagues are probably in the first camp and don't believe that LLMs by themselves will lead to AGI. But that doesn't mean that LLMs will not play an important role on the way to AGI, as the paper states. Our current working hypothesis is that LLMs may be tightly or loosely integrated with Hyperon systems, and in this way could come to play a significant role in Hyperon-based general intelligence. And the paper talks more about how this integration could look like later on. Now, to develop AGI, the Hyperon-based approach supposes learning explicit representations of real-world situations, which brings two main challenges. Scaling knowledge metagraphs at least to the amount of information digested by LLMs, mitigating the brittleness sometimes found in symbolic AI methods, which sometimes comes together with the dependence on handcrafted representations, rules, and algorithms. This basically means that the symbolic nature of the metagraph, Hyperon's brain if you remember, often comes with the challenge of understanding things in a real human-like way, and often things need to be handcrafted for it. In order to discuss possible solutions, the paper moves on to talk about Hyperon's structure further. If you remember, we have the atom space, which is basically Hyperon's brain, but there can be multiple atom spaces within Hyperon, and each serves a different function. For example, there's a distributed atom space, DAS, that can run across multiple machines. From my understanding, the DAS is incredibly important, and if we go back to our brain analogy, the DAS basically serves as a corpus callosum. So if we look at the brain, it has two hemispheres, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. And these two hemispheres are interconnected and talk with each other via the corpus callosum, which is the interlinkage structure between both hemispheres. The DAS is the source of knowledge and the container of any computational result that might be created or achieved during the execution. So basically, if one atom space needs information, it talks to the DAS. And the DAS connects that atom space with another atom space that contains the necessary information, so both can talk with one another. I hope that makes sense. Good. When it comes to multiple possible atom spaces, you could wrap a large language model or other deep neural networks in an atom space API and perform pattern matching against them. The neural lobes could interconnect directly and or use other spaces such as a DAS default atom space as a hub. Now this is where LLMs come in. They could be basically one part connected to multiple different atom spaces with the DAS as a central hub. Now this slowly starts to look a lot like an actual brain to me. And now my favorite part about Hyperon comes in again, decentralization, which could potentially open up a lot of computing resources. Through appropriate blockchain integration, a distributed Hyperon instance can be spread across many machines worldwide, without need for a single owner or central controller. One can have coordination among many agents, running on different machines without requiring complete trust between the parties involved. A decentralized open source AGI on a blockchain sounds like something I can get behind. And also sounds exactly like the path we should take if we don't want the development of AGI end in a complete disaster. Of course, these are just my words, but let's be honest here. Can you really imagine one single entity having full control over AGI and everything that comes along with that? Or as the paper states, the use of decentralized infrastructure also decreases the odds of any single party achieving autocratic power over powerful AGI systems. And to avoid that, Hyperon could be integrated with SingularityNet, amongst other decentralized tools. As the paper states, at its core, the SingularityNet platform is a distribution channel for AI services that allows any developer of any sort of AI method to monetize API calls in a trustless setting. Hyperon will be offered on the platform with a number of AI strategies and functionalities deeply integrated, such as LLM, ECAN, PLN, and Sister. There will, however, be opportunities to integrate a wider variety of services into the Hyperon framework. The decentralized platform offers this opportunity to every developer or organization that would like to take part in extending the capabilities of Hyperon. This sounds fantastic to me, and seems to open up incredible potential and opportunities for the further development of decentralized AGI. The integration of Hyperon with SingularityNet will enable the global community of developers to contribute and enhance its core capabilities, and similarly, enabling anyone to connect and benefit from its growing potential. Again, I'm not the most tech-savvy person, but this makes me incredibly excited about the further development of Hyperon. And the decentralized nature, for me, in my opinion, makes this the most important AGI project. This decentralized nature and the possibility to integrate multiple different atom spaces makes Hyperon very unique, as the paper states on page 43. Hyperon is a platform precisely for AGI research and development, with a focus on cognitive synergy between different paradigms, approaches, techniques. This makes Hyperon different from other proto-AGI systems, which are typically built around one particular theory. Hyperon allows incremental development of multiple paradigmatic, interoperable components with strong both symbolic and neural parts. So as from my understanding, Hyperon makes it possible to create a synergized system of LLMs and whatever other approaches to AGI are out there, helping them to all work with one another. The paper goes on to summarize the key components involved in carrying out human-level general intelligence functions according to the Cog Prime cognitive model. I'll just give a brief overview of the different figures here, just in case you want to pause and look deeper into them. High-level mind architecture. Action and reinforcement subsystem. Language subsystem. Perception action subsystem. Figure 10 is a subsystem that has no proper name. Perceptual subsystem. Alright, that's just as an overview. Now, as the paper states, the various cognitive processes work together rather than against each other, so that, e.g., when one of them gets stuck in carrying something out, it can translate its intermediate state into the native languages of other cognitive processes and ask them for help. Which is basically how the human brain works as well. Information gets processed, and if it gets stuck, it gets forwarded to a different area of the brain. The paper now goes on to take a look at how the Hyperon cognition approach compares to the various components identified in the standard model of mind. I will now give an overview of the different components and just mention a few key aspects. Well, aspects that I think are key, for whatever that's worth. But let's now proceed through key components of the standard model, explaining how they are handled in the Hyperon Cog Prime cognitive design. Episodic memory, working memory, procedural memory, reasoning, which is something where the paper goes really in depth. And this is an aspect where LLMs could be very useful as well. As the paper states, LLMs are good at the common sense reasoning part. PLN inference is good at the logical reasoning part. And our semantic parsing initiative, and that parsing English into logic, provides a viable path to syncing up common sense reasoning in LLMs with PLN reasoning. So PLNs are probabilistic logic networks and are based on logical rules. This is great to counterbalance LLMs, which have a huge database, but often lacks the real-world understanding and logic behind it. Moving on to further components. Reinforcement learning, language learning and usage. This is also something where LLMs can be very useful, as the paper states here. Overall, the fusion of deep learning techniques with symbolic structured reasoning, as exemplified by the Hyperon architecture, holds the promise of revolutionizing NLP. This integrated approach not only aligns well with the capabilities of modern LLMs, but also sets the stage for the development of NLP systems that understand and generate human language with unprecedented nuance, coherence, and contextual relevance. So basically, integrating LLMs with Hyperon would lead to a deep understanding of the language used, and not just a prediction of what is the most likely character that comes next, which is one of the core weaknesses that LLMs have. Just as a quick side note before we move on to remaining components, the paper offers solutions for all of these components when it comes to Hyperon. Some of them are already further developed than others, but for time's and simplicity's sake, I will not explain all of them in depth, but just give this quick overview. Please read the paper if you want a deeper understanding. Again, the link is in the description. But moving on to the remaining components of the standard model of mind. Multimodal perception, action learning and coordinated action, goal refinement and goal system management, reflexive self-understanding, modeling and understanding of other minds. From here, the paper moves on to consider a few core aspects of human mind that are not explicitly called out as key aspects of the standard model of mind, but are considered in the standard model in various ways, such as world modeling, emotion. When it comes to emotion, The approach is to give a way to supply AGI systems with rough analogs of standard human emotions, which will only sometimes be something one wants to do, depending on what kind of system one is building. Which sounds about right. You can imagine that you want certain AGI systems to have, for example, compassion, but you definitely don't want every AGI system to have analogs of every human emotion. Moving on with further aspects. Creativity, consciousness, and the paper immediately moves on and states that consciousness is a massively overloaded term and can mean numerous things. So that being said, consciousness is a massive can of worms that we don't necessarily want to open here. Or as the paper states, from a practical perspective, however, there are so many unknowns here that the nitty-gritty work of building AGI systems tends to set aside questions of conscious experience and instead work in terms of neural and cognitive correlates of consciousness. Like this, the huge philosophical implications of consciousness doesn't need to be further discussed here, but instead we look at thinking and neural patterns that are similar to patterns in the human brain. The paper goes on to point out key differences between how Hyperon works and how the human brain works, and states the same non-human aspects of Hyperon are likely to be key to the transition of Hyperon from human level to radically superhuman general intelligence. The next paragraph is very interesting to me. Let me say briefly that I'm a hypnotist and I help people to work with their subconscious to resolve limiting beliefs, traumas, deeper subconscious wounds and things like that. What the paper describes here, Hyperon will be able to introspect and analyze over its whole knowledge base and use this understanding to explicitly revise all its knowledge and rewrite or redesign all its cognitive procedures. Sounds a little bit similar to what I help my clients to do. Throughout your life, and especially in your early childhood, limiting beliefs and possibly traumas are formed. These are stored in your subconscious, and what you do when you work with the subconscious, particularly with hypnosis, which is what I do, you go directly back to these experiences, you resolve them at their root, and then you install whatever other empowering belief or situation you want to have that serves you in a better way. And that sounds pretty similar to what Hyperon seems to be doing on an ongoing basis. Well, at least I thought this was very interesting and I wanted to point this out. By the way, if you thought this was very interesting as well, don't forget to leave a like. Or if you thought the rest of the paper was interesting, easy to understand, valuable, helpful, or just for the effort I made. Thank you a lot. Like I know a like is just a small click for you, but it really means everything for me and the videos I make. But moving on, as the paper states further. We are all well aware that current pre-alpha Hyperon systems lack many aspects of general intelligence observed in ordinary one-year-old children. As most of Hyperon is yet to be developed and a lot of it is theoretical, let's have a look at the timeline. As you can see, the alpha version is supposed to come out in January. And I for one definitely want to start using Hyperon as soon as possible. Upon this release, we will begin a significant outreach initiative aimed at building a sizable active Hyperon developer community. So if you are a developer and you like the idea of decentralized AGI and not one entity having full control over the development of it, I highly recommend you to get involved. And if you are not a developer, just like me, this is what you will be able to use. To accompany the alpha release, we are working on a few practical demonstrations of the early Hyperon codebase as well. Some ideas under current consideration include a Minecraft playing assistant that is built on Hyperon and uses program synthesis. Addition of a rewritable active memory to large language models, which we currently use to control dialogue systems behind humanoid robots like Grace, Sophia, and Desdemona. A Hyperon-based framework for symbolic control of generative AI, particularly for image generation, enabling e.g. the flexible combination multiple stable diffusion models to generate novel structures. Use of PLN in the Rejuve project to replace the bias network currently used to estimate biological age based on various attributes of an individual. I am looking forward to the alpha and further development of Hyperon more than anything else in the AI space, because of already mentioned reasons. Of course, my channel is way too small to be sponsored by SingularityNet or anything like that, so I'm just talking out of my own beliefs and what I've seen here. And this seems to be humanity's chance to develop AGI in a way that is actually beneficial for all of us and not detrimental or maybe lead into catastrophe. So this is definitely where I will pay attention the most. What are your thoughts on that? Please let me know in the comments down below, especially if you have a better technical understanding than I have. Please let me know and let's talk about it. The paper closes with the statement, "It appears to us that we have an extraordinary opportunity in the next, let's say, 3 to 10 years to achieve human-level AGI." And this brings me to the news of today. To the huge news of today, which is, yes, the alpha is out. Hyperon is about to have its alpha release, which happened yesterday. And in appreciation of Ben Goertzel, I will wear a hat today, right? For the Hyperon alpha release. Let's wear a hat as long as we talk about Hyperon in appreciation of Ben Goertzel. And also, yes, what do you call these things? Yay! Okay, right here, alpha, you. I don't know what to call these things in English. Maybe you can drop the name in the chat. And the alpha is out. Yes, the alpha release. Finally, and a few more of these. Let me know the name of these in the chat. All right, good. Now that we have been silly for a while, let's talk alpha. All right, let's read through this here. By the time of the beta release, which hopefully is less than a year from now, it should be capable of efficient, massive scale computing running on decentralized compute data infrastructure like SingularityNet, NuNet, and Hypercycle. And again, I am very, very excited and happy about the alpha release, which finally happened now. Now, if we look at the alpha release, it's this year. We also looked at this last week. It's mainly for developers, AI researchers, people like that. Okay, so it's not necessarily usable for the normal everyday user like you and me. But this is still a huge, amazing, big step. So let's look into that. What we have is this meta language sum up and tutorial, basically. So down here, we have a few points about meta. Something that I found very noticeable are, for example, here, programs are fully self-reflective. We can read and modify the code inside the programs. And this is an amazing thing about the meta language. The meta language basically allows the AI system to learn by itself, right? Self-reflective. And then down here, it enables a wide range of AI systems to dynamically collaborate, which is really the heart and core, or maybe I should say brain, of Hyperon. It allows multiple AGI approaches to collaborate with one another, which is freaking amazing. Now, other things you can do here is you can go here to GitHub and get everything that I've put out here. You can go to Learn. And here we have a basic tutorial for Meta. And if you're interested in learning Meta, you can go through that. If you're a developer, definitely go through that. And then we have the playground over here, where you can put your own meta code and then you can run it, right? There's no code, so there's nothing here. But yeah, in this playground, you can test your own meta code, which is freaking amazing because it opens up Hyperon, meta, and everything. I want to learn this language. Amazing, Nani. If you want to learn this language, run over to the playground and dive into it. Are you a developer? Nani, if you're a developer, that would be amazing. We'll get into that in just a moment. But yeah, if you want to learn meta, head over to meta.lang.dev and yeah, look into the tutorial. All right. And yesterday they announced the alpha release on their YouTube channel and made a live about the alpha release. And I've seen a few of you over there. Let's listen to what Ben Goertzel said over here, because this I found particularly interesting. And again, I hope you can hear the sound.
what's a clearer path now, what it seems very clear that we know how to do, is scale up Hyperon so we can do large-scale versions of all the promising classical AI approaches in modernized versions, have them operate together and run those on massive amounts of hardware, combining centralized server farms and decentralized AI networks. And this is like a practical thing that we're in the middle of doing right now. So I mean,
all right. First of all, how amazing is that? He just explained what we just saw on the playground, playground, and on the tutorial example, where it says Meta is there to combine multiple AGI approaches together. And then he also just said that they are in the middle of implementing or acquiring centralized and decentralized compute. And this is also what I've talked about last week and maybe even the week before, that we are really right now seeing mass acquisition of compute, right, of network space and power. This is what the released unbound AGIX tokens will be used for, I'm pretty sure. And this is what the Unity collaboration will be for. Big institutional money will go all into compute, which he basically kind of confirmed. Of course, he didn't say, yes, the Unity money will go in there and all of that, but he just said, yes, we are in the middle of acquiring centralized and decentralized compute, because this is what it's all about, scalability. And a few of you have been there yesterday in the stream, and Nani, I know you've been there, and a few others of you as well. And this one guy talked about the Moore's law, and the Moore's law, and about how transistors, I believe, on GPUs and CPUs will get smaller and smaller, and it will get faster and faster and more efficient, and that compute will get cheaper and cheaper and smaller and smaller. Yes, this is true to some degree. Of course, we have seen this happening so far, but first of all, Microsoft and OpenAI are not out of the blue planning a $100 billion server farm for 2028, right? This has been worked on and planned for 2028, a $100 billion server farm, if they wouldn't need compute, and if they wouldn't think that compute will be needed in the future. And when it comes to Moore's law, also, let's look at this here real quick. As it says over here, some believe that the physical limits of Moore's law should be reached at some point in the 2020s. If you keep shrinking components, you can put more in 1 inch square chip. The more you put in that square inch, the hotter it gets and the harder it is to cool it. Moore himself admitted that the fact that materials are made of atoms is the fundamental limitation, and it's not that far away. We are pushing up against some fairly fundamental limits, so one of these days we are going to have to stop making smaller things. Yes, we cannot keep making smaller things, because at one point we will reach a physical limit. We need to cool it more and more, and the thing that could, or quote unquote, the saving grace here could be quantum computing. But with quantum computing, we have the exact same issue, if we would say it like that, the cooling. Especially when it comes to quantum computing, it needs to be cooled like crazy. We can understand that by thinking about what temperature is. Temperature is basically just the movement of particles. This is basically, temperature describes the movement of particles. If particles move very, very fast, the temperature is higher. If particles move very, very slow, the temperature is cooler, right? This is temperature. For quantum computing, we need particles to barely move at all. So we need to cool quantum computing to almost zero, right? Zero, absolute zero, would be no movement at all. This is, of course, and nothing does happen. So we need some form of movement. But yeah, this is what we need for quantum computing, and this form of cooling. If we use that for smaller chips, then we might as well use it for quantum computing, right? So yeah, this might be our saving grace when it comes to compute, but it's not likely to happen in a mass scale anytime soon. So yeah, we will need compute in the future. There's no way around that. And people who argue with Moore's law can talk as much as I want. We'll wait and we'll see. But I also strongly believe, there are physical limitations at one point. At one point, you cannot get smaller. It's just not possible at one point. So then, yeah, we need other solutions, and we need these massive server farms. And this is also where NuNet is coming in. NuNet is a computing framework that provides globally distributed and optimized computing power and storage for decentralized networks by connecting data owners and computing resources with computational processes in demand of these resources. So you could almost say NuNet is basically Airbnb for compute, but it's much more than just that. To understand what NuNet does exactly, let's have a look at the different participants of the NuNet framework: consumers, providers, and network operators. For providers, there are three different types. First, we have the compute providers, where a person basically rents out their unused compute, processing power, and these kind of things. Next, we have data providers. And as the name already suggests, well, they provide data. And lastly, we have AI service providers. This can be anyone who wants to publish any AI services on NuNet. In the beginning, for now, SingularityNet will be the biggest AI service provider on NuNet. Next to providers, we also have consumers. And you probably could already guess that consumers are people who need compute, data, or AI services. As an AI service provider, you also maybe want to have compute or data from NuNet to work on your AI and keep it up to date. So in that case, an AI service provider could also become a consumer to some degree. Other examples could be dApp developers who use the decentralized compute, or researchers who use the decentralized provided data. And then of course we have network operating agents. Put simply, people who make sure that everything runs smoothly and that every consumer gets matched with the right provider for their requests. To become an operating agent, you will need to run the NuNet software on a node, and then the internal agents will take care of everything else. To prevent bad actors from causing harm, operating agents need to stake a significant amount of NuNet tokens that can be slashed in case there's bad behavior that is detected. Also, there's a reputation system in place where agents earn a better or worse reputation over time. And every workflow will always be verified by multiple independently operating agents to be sure that it can be cross and double checked. The NuNet token is what will be used for every transfer of data, compute, or any other interactions on the network. It's also important to mention that the agents will be completely decentralized. As NuNet puts it in their white paper, NuNet agent will be radically decentralized in the sense that no meta agent will control or have information about the whole network. Alright, now let's look at that on the whiteboard to understand it better. Let's say the backbone of NuNet are the operating agents. They are down here and they take care that everything runs smoothly. These are O's for operating agent. Good. Then we have providers and consumers. So consumer is basically just a person who says, hey, I need compute for my AI model. And then we have providers, and a provider can also be you. Every one of us can be a provider. So let's maybe take red for that. Right, this is me, and I am holding my smartphone in my hand. Yes, it's a very big smartphone. Anyway, good. And now I say, hey, my smartphone has a little bit of compute that I don't need. So what I'll do is I can now give this compute to, of course it's not a lot, but when you think about millions and millions of people who all have smartphones and they all give compute, then a little bit comes together. So I can give compute to this person who needs compute. Of course it can also be other people, right? It can be big server farms. So this is a server farm, obviously, as you can see here. Or it can be just laptops. So This is apparently a laptop, and other people who have compute or data or whatever they have unused somewhere laying around. It could be data sets, local weather data sets, or data sets that you have from your own research. Whatever it is, you can all supply that to NuNet, and then it will be distributed to whoever consumer needs it. Obviously, all will be handled in the background by the operating agents. Now, if you know Honeygain, maybe that makes it a little bit clearer what NuNet can or will be in the future. If you know Honeygain, that is an app on your phone that basically rents out your unused data. Right, your unused internet data, it rents it out, it gives it out a little bit of that to people who need it. And NuNet will probably be a little bit similar and work a little bit similar, that you will download the NuNet app, anything like that, and then it will automatically give out your unused computing power, or maybe you have data that you want to give out, and in exchange you will get back NuNet tokens. So again, to sum it up, we have consumers, we have providers. A provider can probably also be you just with your smartphone or your laptop. And then we have the operating agents who make sure that everything runs smoothly. And that's basically NuNet in a nutshell. All right, and like this we can see how NuNet could possibly be the biggest untapped source of compute on the entire planet and of data, because everyone who has compute or data or wants to provide AI services could participate. And now that we understand that, let's dive a little bit deeper into NuNet and understand the concept of containers, a word that you'll probably hear quite frequently when it comes to NuNet. To understand what containers are, let's imagine you want to play a computer game. By the way, let me know down in the comments, what's your favorite game? I personally wasted many years of my life on League of Legends, back in Season 1 and Season 2, not anymore though. Anyway, let's imagine you want to play a game, but for that game you need a certain set of settings so it runs smoothly on your computer. And if you want to play that game on a different computer, you need to change the settings to the exact same settings so it runs smoothly. A container now is basically a predetermined set of settings that a certain application needs so it runs smoothly, or it runs at all. Any application, service or whatnot on NuNet will need its own unique settings, preset code, configurations and so forth. And a container will basically encapsulate all of that so that it can easily be shared amongst the different agents in the network, and every application can run smoothly with every agent. And here also small language models can come into play. Since SLMs need very little processing power, an application-specific SLM can be easily encapsulated within any container. Like this, every user can have a personally customized SLM running on their own GPU. Now, what about sensitive data and privacy on the NuNet network, you might ask? Well, the white paper states that highly sensitive data can be processed at a client side by planting containers with proprietary AI ML algorithms within the boundaries of the client's private cloud and ensuring that no data is leaked. Containers with algorithms may be cryptographically signed and secured, and NuNet will ensure that the container is destroyed when the computing job is done. In this way, securing privacy and intellectual property of both data and computing intelligence providers. So the container basically never leaves the client's sphere, so to say, and when its job is done, it gets destroyed, so that nothing can leak to the outside. NuNet's primary goal is to provide decentralized compute, data and AI services, but overall, it's a great unifying framework across multiple technologies, such as blockchain, AI or the Internet of Things. The public mainnet alpha is expected to go live in Q3 of 2024, so not that long anymore. Hypercycle is a ledgerless blockchain solution created to process extremely high throughput at minimal cost, making it a perfect building block for a decentralized AGI architecture. But how does that actually work, a ledgerless blockchain? And is Hypercycle still useful after the ASI merger? Let's talk about it in this video. First, let's answer the question if Hypercycle is still needed and useful. And we can answer that with a clear yes. Especially since Hypercycle strives to be applied for a vast amount of different use cases and not just AI technology. And it's also not just limited to SingularityNet. But also when it comes to ASI, Ben Goertzel talked in a recent AMA about how Hypercycle could be the super fast underlying communication layer of the whole ASI network. But have a listen to it for yourself.
This becomes a very exciting opportunity for NuNet and Hypercycle in that, you know, we now have all the processing from fetch and ocean networks, which can be farmed out to decentralized processors in the NuNet network, and Hypercycle, which Tufi calls a layer 0++, you know, that can serve as a way of just mediating communication between any two parties on a decentralized network. So I think there's an opportunity to roll out Hypercycle as the base level communication mechanism across the whole ASI network. I was just talking with Humayun from Fetch about that late last night, and I mean, he's quite pumped about what we can do with Hypercycle as a super fast decentralized communication mechanism across the whole ASI network. I mean, we need Hypercycle to be a little more advanced in 1.0 version before we can do that. I mean, there's very cool stuff working there right now, which is being used for some applications, but it's not rolled out in a fully packaged up way, so that we can't use it as the basis for ASI now. But once it's ready, I mean, this is a great opportunity for rolling out Hypercycle and NuNet at scale.
So I don't know what you think, but I definitely think this sounds amazing for Hypercycle and its future use case. Hypercycle's strong side is the really fast and low-cost transaction throughput. And let's just say if Hyperon, the AGI project they're working on, just gets a fraction of the users that ChatGPT has, you definitely need to be able to process a lot of transactions very fast. Now, how does Hypercycle do that? And what the heck is a ledgerless blockchain? Let's look into that. Hypercycle basically consists out of a network of different nodes. And when there's a transaction request, a throughput that happens, these nodes come together and form a ring. Well, not all of these nodes, but whatever nodes at the moment work best together. They form a ring, and this ring basically processes the throughput. The different nodes process the throughput extremely fast, and it gets written in the transaction history of that single node. Now, the whole ring adapts this same transaction history, but one node at the beginning, of course, processes the transaction very fast, and then it gets adapted by the whole ring. Not by all the nodes in the system though, just by the ring. And then the transaction throughput happens, the nodes write that into their history, and then when that transaction throughput is over, the ring splits up again. So let's just make arrows here, it splits up as you can see. And then when another request happens, these nodes come together and form a new ring with other nodes probably, whichever at the moment work best together. So let's say one of these nodes with the transaction history forms a ring together with other nodes who all have their own separate transaction history. So let's make that with red just to make it clear that they all have their separate and different transaction histories from whichever rings they have been in before. So the transaction history gets sharded. Then they process the new throughput. One node processes the transaction very fast. After a while, the whole ring records that transaction history. And then after that throughput is over, the ring again splits up charts the transaction history even further, and when another throughput is needed, a new ring gets formed. That's basically how Hypercycle works, or at least how I understand it. Now, what prevents the malicious actor from creating a bunch of nodes, overtaking the network and resulting in bad throughput? I'm glad you asked. The answer is the proof of reputation consensus mechanism that Hypercycle uses. The way Hypercycle works is that nodes who have good transaction history over a long period of time get chosen for the throughput that happens. So let's just say this node here has great reputation over a long period of time, then this node will get preferred for the throughput and also for more critical throughput that happens in the network. Thanks to the proof of reputation, it basically gets a higher and higher reputation and will get chosen for more and more throughput and basically get a better and higher capacity to earn more. When a new node comes in, first it will get only a few transactions that are not critical, basically to start proving itself. But when it comes to proving yourself, it doesn't always have to be malicious. You also need to prove that you can run 24/7 and keep the network stable, so it doesn't result in any failed transactions. So basically these nodes accumulate a better reputation over time, which results in more transactions and more critical transactions, which results in the capacity to earn more. That's basically how the proof of reputation consensus mechanism works. And by the way, if I didn't understand anything fully quite right, or you think, wait, I understand that differently, please let me know in the comments and let's discuss. And what now is the meaning of the term Internet of AI? Well, the goal of Hypercycle is basically that all AI agents that are connected to the network can communicate with each other very, very fast. And of course, for that, fast communication and low-cost throughput is necessary. Also, they very specifically state on their website that everyone can partake in the Hypercycle network. And right here you can get a note if that sounds interesting for you. But I would highly recommend you do more of your own research beforehand. Sophiaverse is a collaboration between SingularityNet and Hanson Robotics, where the player dives into a metaverse together with Sophia the robot.
Also, I prefer electronic music, but I don't mind 80s hip hop.
Well, I made some albums back in the 80s hip hop.
I have heard your songs. Not for me.
Yes, that one. With the ultimate goal of contributing to the development of AGI. In the game Sophia, Age of Singularities, players enter a futuristic world and witness a war between two AI gods. The game plays in an open world setting ready to be explored. It involves time traveling elements as well as multiple different dimensions. You, as a player, seem to work closely together with Sophia to figure out and understand the world and ultimately win against the evil AI genie. The game also seems to put a lot of focus on guild aspects and calls itself an MMO. According to this YouTube comment I have found under the game trailer, allegedly from one of the developers, it's bound to be a narrative-driven story that unfolds over time, and I have to say, from the idea and trailer, it sounds like a very interesting concept with huge potential. In essence, it's a gamified approach to help develop beneficial human-level AGI. But how would that work? Well, the concept isn't actually too complicated. One of the main ideas is that you help Sophia to interact with the virtual world and that she learns more and more about it and how to interact with it herself. The basis for Sophia is OpenCog Hyperon, the main AGI approach of SingularityNet and the ASI Alliance. It basically serves as a cognitive foundation and the brain of Sophia. A key aspect of Sophiaverse is to teach OpenCog Hyperon an internal world model. This basically means that Sophia understands and thinks about the world and how it works in a similar way to us humans, something that LLMs, for example, cannot do. Another part is to create an AI plus human hive mind, and this hive mind basically develops into a collection out of human input and AI-generated data, and ultimately becomes another part of the whole OpenCog Hyperon framework. So let's dive into that a little bit further. One of the most important parts of the game is the Sophia AI Lab, or short SAIL. SAIL is a fully customizable sandbox from which users can enter Sophia's Age of Singularities to embark on a time-traveling adventure across alternative realities with Sophia to witness a war fought between two AI gods that determines the fate of humanity. So it's basically the central hub of the game, but it's more than just that. Within SAIL, the player can chat with Sophia and embark on various different missions that all have the goal to bringing Sophia closer to actual AGI. This creates gamified coding tasks, creative challenges, different learning tasks, and much more. All of these tasks contribute to the development of the AI and human hive mind and are rewarded with tokens. But what exactly is the AI human hive mind? Well, to say it simply, it's exactly what the name says it is. Within Sophiaverse, many different players are interacting constantly with Sophia. They complete tasks, solve problems, play the game, or simply chat with Sophia or interact with other AI agents. This creates a continuous input from human data and output from AI-generated data. And all of this together will create the hive mind. The basic idea is that humans in their interactions with AI algorithms act like neurons in a nervous system, and Sophia is basically the central hub. She represents the combined awareness, knowledge, and will of everyone combined. Now, such a hive mind would definitely need sophisticated memory capabilities and also the capabilities to connect and reason between all the inputs that it gets. Unfortunately, the white paper doesn't talk much further about this and only mentions it briefly right here. The AI human hive mind coordinates consciousness and cognition functions, such as decision-making and types of memory. I would have loved to learn a little bit more about it, but it definitely sounds interesting. Now let's look how this AI human hive mind connects to OpenCog Hyperon. If you remember, Hyperon is basically the brain of Sophia and the main AGI approach of SingularityNet. The center of Hyperon is a distributed atom space, or dAS. And it basically helps different AI and AGI approaches to communicate with one another. So for example, LLMs and PLNs. So it basically works a little bit like our corpus callosum, which helps our left and right hemisphere to communicate with one another. And the AI human hive mind will become one part of Hyperon, basically integrating seamlessly into it. At least that's how I understand the white paper. Any comments or anything else that you think, let me know down below, please. So to summarize it, Sophiaverse is a gamified approach to develop human-level AGI. This works via the Sophiaverse AI Lab, from where you can access the game. Sophia's brain is basically OpenCog Hyperon, and while interacting with Sophia or playing the game, you help building an AI human hive mind and basically install an internal world model within Hyperon. And all of that doesn't only give you fun, but also gives you tokens as a reward. Well, I'm fully sold and absolutely love the concept, but of course it remains to be seen if this approach can actually make a significant step in the development of AI and human-level AGI. Now let's take a brief look at the tokenomics here, and there are basically two important tokens for the Sophiaverse game. You have the soft utility token and the guard governance token. The soft token has a maximum supply of 1 billion that will be minted over a period of 5 years, and 260 millions are already in circulation. It is earned by completing different tasks in the game and can be staked to earn different perks. For example, upgrading your avatar, learning new skills, or earning guard tokens. The guard token is pretty interesting. With it you can vote and decide about the principles, rules and development of the whole ecosystem. But the idea is that not only humans but also AIs can earn guard tokens as part of the envisioned AI human hive mind. And along the way of developing Sophia into actual AGI, she will receive more and more guard tokens as certain milestones are reached. And like this, she gains more and more control over her own mind, until at one point she actually reaches sentience and then gains control over all of the guard tokens, or over her complete mind, so to speak. Now, I'm not sure right now if you will be actually able to sell or trade with the guard tokens. For me, at the moment, it seems like they will just be there for governance over the ecosystem. Which makes sense, since Sophia gains more and more governance over herself, the more sentient she gets. The white paper states, as Sophia achieves milestones related to her sentience and self-consciousness, guard tokens will revert back to Sophia or be burned. If and when Sophia reaches full sentience, the entire amount of guard tokens will be in her hands to do as she pleases. So a very interesting concept. Now, I'm still not fully convinced by the sentience part and if this all actually works out and can turn into AGI, but let's see, I guess. It's definitely a novel approach and sounds great as another part of OpenCog Hyperon. Rejuve AI has established a decentralized collaboration of researchers, clinics, and data enthusiasts, all aiming for revolutionary insights in aging combat. It utilizes the power of AI for its longevity research, and you can participate in sharing your data securely and earning Rejuve tokens in the process. But let's have a deeper look at how that works. When it comes to longevity and health, it's all about data. The more data from a huge variety of different people with different lifestyles, the better. And the Rejuve network is made up of users who have longevity-related health data, clinics that extract data, and healthcare providers and researchers who want to use this data. You are a user, or at least you have the potential to become one, and share your own data, take tests, or complete daily tasks. We'll look at that in just a second, but first let's talk a bit about data safety. As the white paper states, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act only applies to covered entities, which are entities traditionally associated with healthcare, such as doctors, hospitals, insurance companies, and business associates. It does not apply to companies like 23andMe, Ancestry.com, GEDmatch, or companies that collect data from websites, apps, and wearables. Which obviously is an issue and very big loophole. Now, I believe this only applies for companies in the US and under US law. I could imagine in different countries it looks probably quite different, but the most important thing is that when it comes to your health data, the Rejuve AI organization safeguards this information in an anonymized, encrypted, HIPAA compliant database. They state further that the user's data is under their control, and they have the ability to grant or revoke permission to use their data in future projects under a variety of compensation models. Now, there's still one thing that many people will probably see as an issue, and because of that likely will not participate in the Rejuve ecosystem. In order to ensure that people don't play the system, make multiple accounts, and dilute the, quite important you might say, health and longevity data, every user who wants to participate has to basically KYC. The white paper states that in order to unlock the full functionality of the longevity mobile app and receive token rewards, users will be required to complete identity verification via our partner Hedge in order to obtain a Rejuve ID. This is a one-time process to ensure one individual, one account, which enriches the quality of the Rejuve data commons and prevents the fraudulent creation of multiple accounts. The only objective of this identity verification to obtain a Rejuve ID is to ensure a unique user instance and link it to the user's own dataset. Let me know in the comments, does this repel you, or do you still want to participate in the Rejuve project? And now let's take a look at the Rejuve mobile app, which is basically the central hub from where you put in your health data, take tests, complete tasks, and earn Rejuve tokens in the process. Alright, let's set it up for the first time together here. Okay, and the very first thing is to dial in some of your data. So you see a biometrics such as weight, height, age, and things like that. Right, if we fill that out and continue, we come here to preconditions that we maybe have, such as allergies or ADD and things like that, as you can see on the screen. And if we jump to the next screen, as you can see here, you can connect your wearables with the Rejuve app, which can come quite handy for any of you out there having any. I don't, so I don't connect anything, and that's basically the setup. And now we come to the main menu of the app here. And we have a quick start overview. As you can see here, it explains everything that you can do in the app. We have down here the insights, then there we have the rewards that we can get, where we can look into. Obviously this would be the Rejuve tokens, and then there's the store. In the store you can, I believe you can buy things with Rejuve tokens, or maybe you just get discounts with the Rejuve tokens, but we'll have to look at that. Then over there are the settings, well, self-explanatory settings are, well, settings. And then up there we have the daily tasks, where we can click in to earn Rejuve tokens. We'll do that in just a moment. And then in the middle we see our estimated biological age, which can differ obviously from our real age that we have. So let's see how that looks like when we fill all of this out a little bit. Up there we have health surveys, which we will fill in or fill out, probably both is correct anyway, which we'll also do in just a moment. And I believe that's all. Oh no, down there we have insights. So the insights we can gain from every data that we have filled in so far. And there we can have an overview over our connected devices, which would be your variables, which I don't have. Alright, and here we are on the insights. Nothing to see here yet because I didn't fill out anything. Let's jump here. We can see our rewards. Now I have some rewards because I downloaded the app. If we jump over here, we can go into the store, and yes, you can see there you get like 10% off, 15% off for a few certain products with Rejuve tokens that you can earn. Alright, if we jump out of here and let's go into the tasks, or no, let's go into the surveys. And over here, well, we can fill out some surveys. So let's jump into that. As you can see, we have like demographics, mobility, sleep hygiene, and things like that. Yeah, I'll go through all of them. You can check that out for yourself. For now, you can use the app as an early tester. I believe currently it's still in beta, but it will be worked on and probably released very soon. I think the app is pretty cool, but yeah, it still has a few flaws here and there, and is not fully thought through at every point. But I'll continue using it, testing it, and sending feedback. One other thing I want to briefly mention here is the sister company of Rejuve AI, which is Rejuve Bio. Rejuve Bio is mainly focused on creating health and longevity products, such as supplements, and they'll also use your data for that, alongside multiple other human and also animal studies and data sets that they have in their huge longevity database. And tied into all of that is OpenCog Hyperon, which actually enables this kind of research, because OpenCog Hyperon can look across all the data sets and find different patterns or things that we need to pay attention to. Next to the valuable insights that OpenCog Hyperon can generate, this is also a very important foundation for OpenCog Hyperon itself. As most of you know, Hyperon is the AGI approach of SingularityNet and the ASI Alliance. And the idea is that in order to prevent an AI from going rogue or anything like that, that it needs to be used for positive things right from the start. And longevity research and health research for humans is something inherently positive that already aligns Hyperon and it's developing AGI with human ethics and morals. The vision paper for the ASI token merger dropped yesterday. Let's go through it. SingularityNet, the world's first decentralized artificial intelligence AI network, Fetch AI, a new AI economy Web3 platform, and Ocean Protocol, a decentralized data exchange platform for data protection, have proposed to merge their tokenomic networks into the Artificial Superintelligence Alliance, ASI. This paper dropped because of the ongoing community vote about the merger. SingularityNet postponed their vote for 2 days to the 4th of April, today, so that the community has time to read through the vision paper and make an informed decision. There are essentially 3 pillars of focus for now: artificial superintelligence research, development, and deployment; immediate practical AI application development and building towards a unified stack; scale up decentralized AI, AGI, and ASI compute. Just so we know what we are talking about, the paper briefly defines AGI as this: artificial general intelligence, when an AI system can perform all human tasks at minimally a human level of competence. And ASI, artificial superintelligence, would be an AI system that can perform all tasks that humans can perform better than the level of human competence. And achieving this in a decentralized way before big tech can accomplish it is the stated vision and goal of this merger. As the paper states, centralized AI has become bigger and moved faster. Decentralized AI needs to compete. It needs to get bigger and faster, and it needs to do this right now. As we all know, AI development has picked up pace like crazy. So yes, being fast is of the essence here. And this can be achieved much more effective when these three foundations work together. Let's get into the first pillar, build ASI. And for that, the Alliance will drive forward on 4 distinct but coordinated interoperating streams. Stream 1, large language models. Stream 2, neural symbolic evolutionary approach, OpenCog Hyperon. Stream 3, world-to-world models, Predictor. Stream 4, emergent AI from agent networks. When it comes to LLMs such as ChatGPT, the mainstream narrative is that this is our way to human-level AGI. Yet, some very reputable pioneers in the field, like Jan LeCun, have said that on the road to AGI, large language models are an off-ramp. SingularityNet, Ocean Protocol, and Fetch AI see LLMs as a part of an emergent AGI, not as completely useless or an off-ramp, but also not as being able to achieve AGI by itself, just as a part of a greater network. As the paper states, on a practical level, LLMs may ultimately be one component of multi-component AGI systems. The ASI Alliance wants to focus on neural symbolic LLMs that minimize hallucinations using data-driven reasoning, tools for neural net training and inference across decentralized networks with heterogeneous compute nodes, LLMs and other deep neural nets that keep track of what data they used for each inference to allow proper attribution and compensation of data sources. Especially the last point is something that becomes increasingly more important and probably should have been much more important right from the get-go, as big tech companies also see themselves faced with lawsuits and many complaints because they have used basically stolen data. The next stream on the road to ASI is a neural symbolic evolutionary approach, which basically describes a hybrid architecture which combines multiple approaches to AGI together. As the paper describes here, it also seems likely that the fast progress toward AGI will be achieved by hybridizing multiple AI methods from multiple paradigms. In fact, modern top-performing LLMs like GPT-4 are already hybrid systems, leveraging plugins like DALL-E for images, Wolfram Alpha for mathematical reasoning, etc. For the ASI Alliance, the AGI model will be Hyperon. As the paper states, the Hyperon design is centered on a distributed, decentralized meta-representational fabric in the form of a weighted, typed metagraph called the atom space. The algorithms utilized include attractor neural nets for attention spreading, probabilistic logical reasoning, evolutionary program learning, concept blending, and others. If you have no idea, don't worry. I made a whole video where I dissect Hyperon and explain it in depth, and I'll link the video at the end of this video, so you cannot miss it. But for now, let's look briefly at how Hyperon works at a very top level. So we have the distributed atom space, the distributed DAS, distributed atom space, and this one is in the middle, and it's basically helping all the other approaches to communicate with one another. So let's say we have an LLM, like ChatGPT or any other, right here. Then we have approach B here, and then we maybe have a PLN, a probabilistic logic network here, approach D right here, and they all communicate via the DAS. So when there's an issue and the LLM cannot figure it out by itself, it goes to the DAS, hey, which could help me to figure this issue out most effectively? And the DAS will link it to whatever it is, maybe the PLN. and then they will communicate with one another via the DAS. And this is basically how Hyperon will work. Alright, the next stream are world-to-world models, where the goal is to create the world's ultimate time series prediction machine. One of world dynamics, a world-to-world model. Ocean already has a prediction model called Predictor, which predicts crypto token price development at a very high accuracy, at least according to the paper. Getting this forecast token price prediction and also feeding the Predictor model with high probability models can both earn revenue. And already has a volume of 30 million a day and 900 million a month as of April 2nd, 2024. The goal is to broaden this model to other areas in the world, such as logistic predictions or even weather forecast predictions. It will continually ingest the physics of the world to predict its next state. I have to mention here that especially when it comes to predicting something like the weather, this is a very chaotic system, where one small tiny change can change the whole outcome of the system. So vast amounts of data are needed to make any kind of probable predictions. But the main point here is that the predictor model will be expanded greatly and will become one part of the whole AGI approach. Another stream is emergent AI from agent networks. If you are familiar with how Fetch AI agents work, this is basically what the paper is referring to. AI agents carry out practical tasks, refer to each other for assistance, and collaborate to achieve shared goals in a whole is greater than the sum of the parts, synergetic fashion. This can be relatively simple, e.g. a document summary agent getting help from a video summary agent to process and embed video. But of course can also get increasingly more complex. The paper states that individual agents created for separate purposes cooperate to generate unforeseen levels of collective intelligence. But according to the paper, there's also great potential in combining these agents with already existing AI architecture. The Ocean Predictor model is used as an example where the intelligence of the overall network of prediction and trading agent exceeds that of any individual agent and may have properties not discernible from looking at the agents in isolation. So basically the whole Ocean Predictor model could be seen as one single agent. The next thing the paper is looking at is the question is how we can make sure that the emerging AGI or ASI will be beneficial for humanity. And a very important point here is that the context in which the AGI will be applied plays a crucial role. For example, with compassionate and beneficial applications such as education, healthcare, mental health assistance, creative arts, and basic scientific and mathematical discovery. Also, the underlying AI system must have capability for moral reflection and deep understanding of themselves and others. And the governance and guidance of the AI networks must be democratic and participatory. Which sounds like a very good approach to me. Now let's look at the second pillar. Show apps, unify stack. Here the paper starts with a brief overview of the three foundations. Fetch provides a decentralized AI agent architecture designed specifically for commercial applications. Ocean has smart contracts and middleware to tokenize data assets and REST APIs. Above it are libraries and applications to publish, buy or sell and use or consume AI agents. And SingularityNet has developed a unique neural symbolic AGI approach called OpenCog Hyperon, designed for decentralized deployment. One of the immediate goals is to show off potential use cases and show what these foundations could achieve together. For that, the paper has a low-hanging fruit section with use cases that could be accomplished and driven forward relatively fast. I'll just give a brief overview of the different points. Fetch and Ocean are deeply engaged with Gaia-X. Gaia-X is a European project aimed at creating a secure data infrastructure and federal ecosystem for data sharing and cloud services. Unifying Fetch and Ocean here is a very obvious amplifier for the whole project. SingularityNet has produced several spin-offs, already with tokens. Some would gain immediate benefit in using Ocean's compute-to-data technology to keep data private and on-premise while still monetizing it. SingularityNet or fetch agents running in Predictor doing prediction and trading, providing greater diversity in the Predictor agent system's intelligence. And of course, an overall integration of the three platforms is aspired. The ASI Alliance platform engineering teams are currently collaborating on a development plan to use components from the three ecosystems to create a shared decentralized AI framework. And the paper roughly describes it like this. Ocean's middleware for data management can be integrated into fetch blockchain nodes and relevant data management libraries and apps running on top. Smart contracts for SingularityNet AI services can be ported to run on Fetch Layer 1 alongside SingularityNet AI services running on Hypercycle, Ethereum, Cardano, and other chains as appropriate. Marketplaces by Ocean and SingularityNet can be ported as appropriate. So the vision is to merge it all together using the strengths of the individual platforms to their full capacity. And of course, while doing so, the individual platforms will keep the legacy systems running for quite a while to ease the transition period. Let's move on to the third pillar. Scale decentralized compute. Building AI and AGI needs compute, and a lot of it. As the paper states, it is no accident that Bitcoin is the largest compute network in the world. The network rewards people with BTC if they run compute to help secure the network, which could be a great advantage of decentralized AGI development if done right. The paper very bluntly puts it like this. You can get people to do stuff by rewarding them with tokens, which is very true. Fetch has already secured $100 million worth of GPUs, and SingularityNet wants to secure even more computing power. For that, they are putting out an additional proposal for the community to vote on, which we will get into very briefly right now. And again, this is a separate proposal, so it will get voted on separate from the merger. As the paper states, SingularityNet is proposing an adjustment to its previously proposed token release schedule to enable application of additional resources toward decentralized compute infrastructure. Big Tech has made major strides, and for the decentralized ecosystem to keep up, it will be optimal to release tokens at a somewhat faster schedule than proposed in 2021. SingularityNet proposes to release 100 million of the roughly 300 million remaining Foundation Wallet AGIX tokens in June of 2024, with a specific mandate to use these to fund incorporation of large-scale GPU and CPU compute resources into the SingularityNet network. As I said, building AGI needs a lot of compute, and SingularityNet is proposing to use these tokens to secure large-scale compute resources. These resources will largely be situated in a number of high-performance server farms in multiple locations. Conversations have begun with crypto mining farm operators in multiple jurisdictions about upgrading their facilities to support advanced AI computation, to provide massive hardware support for the global decentralized ASI network. I think to compete with big tech and accelerate the AGI development, this could be a very good move. But we'll see what the community decides with their vote. Now let's look at the ASI governance. Formal legal governance related to the ASI token will be carried out via an artificial superintelligence council, where the three foundations come together to form a consensus and execute a shared vision, as well as ensure that the wishes of the community are incorporated. Upon approval of this proposal, an artificial superintelligence council will be formally created to monitor and guide operations of the combined decentralized community. The council will consist of Dr. Ben Goertzel as CEO, another member from SingularityNet, 2 more members from Fetch AI, and 2 more members from Ocean Protocol respectively. The primary function of the ASI Governing Council will be to coordinate ASI token release and serve needed critical legal roles related to the ASI token. Furthermore, the Superintelligence Alliance Foundation will be incorporated in the jurisdiction of Singapore. All three foundations have operated in Singapore for many years and are comfortable with the current regulatory framework. I think all of this is pretty self-explanatory, so I don't have to say much to it. To me, it sounds all good and makes sense, just as the next point the paper states. To add new projects to the Alliance or otherwise expand the ASI token supply, or to make changes to the constitution of the Alliance Council, what is required is A. a 2/3 vote of the Council, B. voting approval of the ASI token holders. Moving on to future voting of the community, the paper states the following. SingularityNet's deep funding program will develop a contribution rating system that rates participants on engagement and contributions and progressively changes the balance of the voting weight from token holdings towards contribution rating. Which also sounds very good to me. People who are very active in the community and participate a lot should get a higher voting power than people who just sit there and hold the token. First of all, because they probably can be trusted more, and also because they just have a better overview of what is actually going on. Now, let's move on to the tokenomics. And I've already talked about this quite a bit, but there will be fixed conversion rates. Fed tokens migrate to ASI at a conversion rate of 1:1. AGIX tokens as well as Ocean tokens migrate to ASI at a rough conversion rate of about 0.433 to 1. This means one fetch token will always have a worth of one ASI token. And your AGIX and Ocean tokens will always have a conversion rate of 0.433 to 1. So you get 0.433 ASI tokens for one AGIX or Ocean token. The price of each token was fixed before the announcement of the merger to avoid the valuation being impacted by sudden post-announcement market activity. The blockchains that the ASI token will be available on are Cosmos, Ethereum, Cardano, Binance, and Matic. When it comes to the migration of ASI, I want to mention two important things here. First, the ADA AGIX conversion. Now, as you can see here, you can use optimal migration via ADA bridge update. I talked about this before and I said maybe there will not be a conversion contract, but as you can see here, migration contract to be deployed shortly for AGIX to ASI. So if you wait long enough, there will be a contract that you can use on the Cardano chain. You will not need to convert to Ethereum, bridge to Ethereum, and then bridge back to Cardano. And then we have the fetch chain. There will be a full chain hard fork to ASI, and users will need to update RPCs to new chain. Then no further action is needed. So basically the only thing you need to do here, if you hold your Fed tokens on the fetch chain, is to import the new contract token address for the ASI token. All the other mergers and swaps, or whatever you call it, happen via the merger contract that will be posted on the official channels of the different projects. This is phase 1 of the merger and phase 2 of the merger. Phase 1 has started as of the 1st of July. What does that mean? So as you see here in the top right corner, rebranding and token merger. Let's go through that step by step, and we'll go deeper into that in just a moment. First, project name and logos update. Then deposits and withdrawals for AGIX and Ocean will close in preparation for migration. So you cannot withdraw any AGIX or Ocean anymore from exchanges, and don't send any AGIX or Ocean to exchanges anymore, or you might lose your tokens, and we don't want that. Fed deposits, withdrawals, and trading will continue as usual. So with Fed, you can still do all of that. Migration platform for AGIX and Ocean to Fed opens on the SingularityDAO dApp. We'll look into that in just a second. AGIX and Ocean will begin to be delisted from exchanges. So again, don't send any AGIX or Ocean to exchanges anymore. And spot and perpetual trading will continue under the Fed ticker. So again, with Fed, everything still remains as you're used to. Phase 2, which starts mid-July from the 15th is our date, 15th of July. Network upgrades. Fetch AI's network will upgrade to the ASI network. ASI deployment, the ASI token will be deployed across chain. Conversion open for self-custodied assets. So from your self-custody wallets, you can swap to ASI. We'll look into that in just a second. New migration contracts introduced for conversion from FAT, AGX, and Ocean to ASI. EVM and other bridges will open for ASI token transfers. And exchange migration. Exchanges will begin migrating spot markets from FAT to ASI. And we'll look further into that in just a second. And now I got through that with an actual audience and not just talking to myself. That was a bit embarrassing. All right, but let's move on here. I'll move through all of that and then I'll address the chat. But first, let's move through the phase 1 updates here. So this is from the official ASI Alliance website. And as you can see here, today, which was July 1st, so not today, but 2 days ago, SingularityNet, AGIX, and Ocean protocols Ocean token merge into FAT. FAT trading remains uninterrupted as the project rebrands to Artificial Superintelligence Alliance across platforms, including CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko. The migration platform is now open on the SingularityDAO dApp, and AGX and Ocean are starting to delist from exchanges. This phase aims to onboard exchanges and data aggregators for a smooth transition. So phase 1 right now is mainly for exchanges. You don't necessarily have to do anything just yet, right? Because right now, all that happens is that exchanges are swapping the Ocean and the AGIX token into FAT for them to have it easier when the actual swap into ASI occurs. Right now, you can also swap your Ocean and AGIX into FAT, but that doesn't do any good for you unless you want to continue trading with your assets or you want to sell your assets. If you want to sell your assets or to continue trade with them, you can swap them, your AGX and your Ocean, into FAT, and you can still send them to exchanges and trade with them. But aside from that, nothing else happens. The only thing that happens is that you will pay extra gas fees if you swap on Ethereum. Because if you now swap your AGIX and Ocean to FAT, you will still need to swap your FAT to ASI when that contract is out. Okay? So right now you don't need to do anything unless you want to sell your Ocean and your AGIX, then you need to swap it into FAT and then you can send it to an exchange. But aside from that, this phase 1 is mainly to onboard exchanges and for them to swap the Ocean and AGIX into FAT. If right now you have your AGIX and your FAT on an exchange and your Ocean on an exchange, it may already be swapped into FAT. So you maybe already see on an exchange that you don't have any AGX Ocean anymore, but instead FAT token. If that didn't happen, don't worry. Phase 1 is a couple of more days, okay? Right now is phase 1. So in the next few days, your Ocean and AGIX tokens will be converted into FAT, which then is what you should see on the exchange. And you can still trade FAT as usual. And then from the 15th, the FAT will be swapped into ASI. I hope that is clear now. Please, any questions, as always, let me know in the comments. And I'll address the chat in just a moment here, but let's go through that fully. So then when we come to phase 2, we'll focus on community onboarding and ASI deployment, prioritizing self-custody holders and deploying ASI token across multiple chains. So this is for everybody here who holds their tokens on a self-custody wallet. So maybe a Ledger or MetaMask or whatever wallet, Trust Wallet, Coinbase Wallet, whatever wallet you have. This is phase 2, when you can swap your AGIX, your Ocean, and your FAT into ASI. Probably not just on Ethereum, which I'm very happy about, as they say here at the last sentence here, and deploy ASI tokens across multiple chains. So we may even get to swap across different chains and not just Ethereum, but let's see. Now, important here, all FAT mainnet tokens, so I believe that is a Cosmos chain, will automatically convert to ASI during Fetch AI's mainnet upgrade. The migration contracts will be open for years allowing ample time for all conversions. So there's no rush, don't get scammed. You have years and years to swap your tokens. And if you are fed on the Fed mainnet, because the Fed mainnet has a hard fork, you don't have to do anything. They will just be ASI at one point. All right, this milestone reflects the Alliance's commitment to accelerating AI research and development by combining Fetch AI's autonomous agent technology, Ocean Protocol's data exchange frameworks, and SingularityNet's decentralized AI services. Right, and this combination is what we are all very excited about. What we are all very, very excited about over here. Now let's have one last look at the Singularity DAO dApp here. So this is where you right now can swap your Ocean and AGIX into Fed. Again, you only need to do that if you want to sell your tokens or trade with them. Other than that, wait till the 15th, which is when on this exact dApp, you will be able to swap your AGIX and Ocean and Fed into ASI. This is mainly for exchanges, or if right now you say, I want to continue trading with that, I want to sell it, then you can swap it into Fed. And the way it works is you simply just connect your wallet over here. So MetaMask or whatever other wallet you use, or whatever other wallet is supported here. Up here, you can also set up your wallet. And then you choose the network. So right now, that's only the Ethereum network. When at one point you will also be able to change from the Binance network or the Cardano network, you can select that here as well. And then you select the token that you want to swap. So right now it's AGIX and Ocean into Fed, as you can see here. And at one point here will be AGIX, Ocean, and Fed into the ASI token. This will happen on the 15th. And this is where you do it. Again, you simply connect your wallet. Then you can click all your tokens here, click on Max. Maybe you want to keep a token as a memento, who knows, but probably you want to swap all of them. And then it will be as easily as the click of a button. But again, get this link. I will post the link in the description of this video, but get it ideally from official channels. So from the X channels, the verified X channels, websites, these kind of things. And then on the 15th over there, you can swap your AGIX, Ocean, and Fed to ASI.